drag is starting to become a thing, like even more than it was.
Yeah.
And the Duke is practically just a drag persona anyway.
Yeah, it's like a boy drag king persona. It's very
Yeah.
funny. You're a male impersonator.
Yes. It's actually pretty meta.
It's pretty
like
right? It's accurate.
Yeah.
All you have to do is shave this off and then get one of those like pencil mustaches, and you're pretty much there.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh my god.
It's true.
Just honestly, with the little red cropped vest part of me, it's just like we can give you like a ledger book and you can take notes, and it just becomes our flag means death reference.
Yeah. Are there lots of red fuzzy vests?
Oh, there's a character that wears like a little cropped red jacket, and he's the sassiest cunt in the show, and it's great.
Perfect for you.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
You think you're cute. Actually, I think I'm so. I just carry myself like I'm cute.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's an energy that you
That's
can
very,
relate to.
That is 100% wavelength I can vibe on. I think I'm so. I just carry myself.
Yeah. It's just a good show. I've also fallen into the cycle of there's things I like, but I won't finish it because once I do, then it's over. And I'm like, no.
Mm-hmm. We still haven't finished What We Do in the Shadows.
I know, and I'm getting like another season in a month.
Yep.
That's good. You just give it that like last couple episodes so you can grab the last episodes and just roll right in.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not episodes. It's
literally the last episode I haven't watched, and I'm like, Colin's dead. No.
Yep.
I don't want to.
I mean, it's much like when I got into Gravity Falls, where I was literally like, okay, this seems like interesting. And it's been like this show's been on hiatus for 3 years now. And they're like, we're finally making season 2. I'm like, oh, I can get into it now.
Yeah.
Because they're like, it's good. We're going to finish off the series. And I'm like, okay, no, this is the right time to come in. Because I was like, I waited a year. I waited a year instead of the fans being like, we have waited 4 years for a second season.
For me, the problem with shows is often that like, you know, the whole like object permanence problem that ADHD like really that happens for shows where I'll be like, I fucking love Altered Carbon, and then I'll watch like the first 4 episodes and then I won't watch it for 2 days and it stops existing. And then I'll remember one day and be like, oh fuck that show, and I'll
like
start it over
9 months later.
Yeah, because I won't remember, so I'll start it over and I'll get the first like 4 or 5 episodes in and I'll stop for a couple days and then it stops existing. I still haven't finished it.
It's really good.
I know.
It gets the hotel is like my favorite.
Oh yeah, Poe.
It's
Poe's
so
the
good.
best.
Yeah. Call off your goons. The other day when we finished role playing with Ash, I was putting something in my kitchen and I hear this noise and there's like a flash in my kitchen. I'm like, what the fuck? Weird. Electricals, old building. Hopefully it doesn't catch on fire. And then my dogs start looking out my kitchen window, which they can't actually see out of. It's too high. They start barking and kind of like at it. I'm like, what the fuck? I look out the window and there is a motherfucking car on fire.
Just outside?
Outside in the street. It is just like a fucking blaze. Like 6-7 foot tall flames coming off the hood of this goddamn car.
Well, now I told you to stop trying to violate my warranty, and now they're giving you a slight message.
I will say your goons should probably do more research because it was totally not my car.
No, they knew that.
Oh no!
They knew if it was your car, you wouldn't make it to the podcast. They just wanted to send a message.
Oh, I see.
It's about
that poor
sending
lady.
a message.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I watched a car get caught on fire. I called the sheriff's department because it's not like an emergency, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, they're like, sheriff's department? I'm like, hi, there's a car on fire outside my apartment. They didn't say anything. The line just went dead. And I just was real quiet for a minute and I was like, hello? And it rang for a second. She just transferred me to the fire department.
Yeah, of
she
course.
didn't fucking say
No.
anything. Not like, I'm transferring you. Click. Just dead line. So then the lady on the fire department's like, fire department, what's the emergency? I'm like, there's a car on fire outside my apartment complex. And she's like, oh, is there somebody in it? And I was like, I don't
think
know.
so.
I'm on the 3rd floor. I can't really see. You want me to go down there and look? She's like,
No.
no, just you can stay upstairs. I was like, okay. She's like, where is it? I gave her the address. She's like, we already have somebody over there. Just stay upstairs where it's safe. It's like, all right, cool. We were both very chill about it.
Good.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's good. That's better than the time I think I watched a homicide.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I was just on the phone with my then partner and was just like, well, I think that guy's dead. I'm gonna go now. He just kind of hung up and laid in my car until the police showed up because I was like, well, Merry Chrysler.
Yay.
Happy Crisis.
I have
Good
no idea
morning,
if we're recording.
evening.
Yeah.
Are we?
Welcome to Blank Bodies,
Yeah, this is
a
the first.
Vampire the Masquerade VTM V5 horror gaming nerd shit podcast.
Oh my god!
I'll
Hunter,
give you this one.
You've been
Yeah.
usurped.
It took,
I have taken the throne this time.
be honest, could take a little work, but you're getting there.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been doing this for almost a year, so that's the reason why you've got your
Yeah,
your
you got
pitch.
practice.
Yeah.
Anyway, this one is John, and with me I am joined by
Hunter.
and
Sarah.
the one, the only, the slotted, the hotted, the lure bot.
James.
I thought you were gonna say the thoughted. I really did.
Fuck! The thoughted.
There you go.
Yeah,
I ain't saying it again.
That's a good callback.
Yeah.
It's been a little while.
It has.
Yes. So we have a script that I didn't write.
No, I did. I did my job.
All right. So if it goes off the rails, we know whose fault it is.
Hey, I got some hard-hitting answers in this one. I did my work.
I did some editing, but you know,
Yeah, you helped make it. Because there was a lot of like...
you're used to doing things in binary. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, all of it's there. We can't just spew out the data.
No, that's humans do more than ones and zeros. What are we talking about?
Yeah, well, we're talking about the Book of Nod.
Oh
Another
my
thing we're not
God.
supposed to read out of. 'Cause bad times.
Oh, wait, what?
The book of
We're
Nod.
not supposed to read that?
No.
You've
It's
been reading it?
Didn't you read that repeatedly as a child?
Yeah.
No,
Like,
what
I
I'm
actually
more...
took the time to sit down with like a pretty bright light and with the page.
I was just about to say, how many times did Skipper try to read?
Quite a while, but I got it eventually.
Yeah. So fun fact, the original printings of Book of Nod from like the 90s had a page where there was black ink on a black background.
It was the Malkavian one.
Get
So-
fucked.
It was real rough.
We
the inks
assumed
were
they did it all
very slightly different tinted, and so like you had to get just the right angle or just the right light, but you could read it.
Thankfully, in the reprint edition, they've whited it.
Smart.
So you can just read
I
straight.
bet it looks good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I have a copy right here or anything, but
Don't read it.
Don't
I'm not gonna
shit.
read it. I was just gonna show you the text. It's a really pretty book. I will say, if you get the reprint on Drive-Thru RPG, I got mine as a hard copy. I think it was like less than $15 with the hard copy and the PDF.
Cool.
So, hurrah!
I need to check them out more. It bummed me out because I went to look and a lot of the side books aren't available. Like all the vampire stuff's available.
Yeah.
But like some of the weird, like the Changeling and the Wraith and stuff like that's not available because they couldn't get rights from all the different authors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I forgot about
But
print on
they're a
demand.
really good resource for a lot of books that if you have trouble finding them at like secondhand stores, you can get stuff from them because I got Veil of Night from them for reasonably priced and they sent it to me really quick. And
Yeah, because try to Google how much you get an original printing of the Book of Nod now. It's like 150, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah, that's just because they're a collector's item. I'm
Yeah.
very happy that I got my Ulysses fragments.
I wrote the pronunciation. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is in the
I think I
script.
got it for like $30.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so I was like, ooh, good.
Oh yeah. Why the fuck are we talking about this specific book when there's so many goddamn books?
Because it's kind of important from what I hear.
Yeah,
This book is unlike other books because it's a book that exists inside the other books as a book.
It's a
It
meta
does.
book.
It's
You
a book
do.
inside a book.
you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. So understanding this book will help us understand the culture and everything going on with vampires, and also can encourage critical thinking skills about books in our fucking world. Because sometimes when people hand you things, they go, "This is the word of God." You go, "All right, I don't know about that." Cool.
Yeah, it's very interesting because, we'll get to how it was written before, but this is supposedly the word straight from Caine, and it's just like, this seems a little like propaganda for you, my guy. Like, this seems like everything you do is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
There's also one specific point in there that I will bring up later that makes me think that he didn't write it.
Well, no, we'll get to, because again, this is thought up by Caine, transcribed by Salat, and then translated into Arabic and then translated into English. So there are 5 degrees of separation.
I thought there was a step between the Arabic and the English. Regardless.
Yeah. There's several cooks in this kitchen.
And all of them have agendas.
Mm-hmm. So there's a reason why it's like, oh, this might not be 100% accurate.
Yeah. So James, what the fuck is the Book of Nod?
It's collections of stories of Caine and the creation of vampires. These are not fully complete copies. None of them are. Even the fragments, they even show that they're not complete in the books.
No, so
I mean, they are called the fragments.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's kind of like the Bible or the Torah, where there's several books from ancient before times, and some of them have been recovered, and some of them have not. Some of them have made edits, some of them have not.
Mm-hmm.
You can, if you want to get spicy with a little home arts and 5-minute crafts video, you can always print off a couple pages, do the old coffee and oven trick, and then hand them to your players.
Yeah.
Be like, wow, you found 3 pages. You guys
Yeah, that's some
need
good
to
shit.
make sure no one knows you have these.
Yeah.
Yeah, because somebody's gonna get spicy. But there are also various chronicles have different versions of the book. It all just this is an easy way for STs to be like, this is not what it's saying. I'm telling the story I wanted to say. They have the ability to like edit stuff out easily enough.
Yeah. And even canonically in the meta plot, there are some people like, I have the complete version of it, and then somebody in the spot's like, actually, we have this scrap. Brr. Book of Nod, it's a lot of the mythos is based in like Judeo-Christian traditions. So if you're from a culture that is like that, like ours, a lot of the shit in the book's gonna sound heckin' familiar, my guys. So
That's, I know we've mentioned it before on the show, but this is one of those big moments where it's really, really hard to divorce this game from, like,
Christianity.
and play a game where it's not kind of just like, yeah, Christianity's probably right. And maybe some of the other religions, too.
definitely the Abrahamic religions nailed it. Yeah. And you're just kind of like, cool. That's not weird at all.
Yeah, this doesn't have a bias.
I mean, you know, there's some interesting things in the mythos for Judeo-Christian Abrahamic religion stuff, but
Strange how all the Asian religions are somehow tied to demons.
Or just Salot.
Yeah, or Salot being like, I have brought
I have traveled for enlightenment, and now I've come back wisered with a third eye.
Yeah, I have been the white samurai.
Basically, you can kind of think of the Book of Nod as the Iliad, but it was thought up by your goth dad who runs a Christian Bible study. But
It felt really cringe.
Yeah,
Like,
but the
every
Bible
word just
study
added more cringe.
Yeah.
It
But the
gets
Bible
worse.
study notes were transcribed by your goth dad's biggest fanboy. They're both a little gay for each other, so we just let them have study sessions.
Yeah, that's pretty
It
much.
continued the pattern. Each word made me go, ugh.
This was a Wonder Twins power writing moment on the screen.
I was a little drunk. But yeah, if you get the actual like printed copy that is, you know, a physical copy, you can have the book's like 100 pages. It's not a lot to get through.
just a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
And a
there's
lot of art.
Yeah, well, the actual Book of Nod part's like roughly 100 pages, and then there's some prefaces and annotations written
And I mean,
in character from canonical characters about the Book of Nod. So that's like really fun.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And let's be real though, like most of these pages aren't even like close to full pages. They're like a third of the page.
Yeah, you could take like an afternoon and read this.
Yeah.
If you didn't read, at least with the reprint version, if you didn't read like the prefaces for this chapter, the preface for that, if you just straight read the Book of Nod, you could do that in like an hour or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's some dense, like really interesting like writing style, but it's still like you can breeze through that.
So why does this fucking book matter? Why are we giving this a whole fucking episode?
This sets the groundwork for the basic rules of Vampire Society. It's
Yes.
also a real good like precursor to like the Gehenna End Time stuff.
Yeah, and it also acts as like the origin stories for vampires. This is supposedly where we came from. They came from.
Yeah, this is vampire creation myth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. And not only does it hold the prophecies for Gehenna and Thin Bloods and all of that, it is often cited by members of the Sabbat for justifications for all their crimes.
Well, Daddy said we could. So,
Yeah.
or Daddy said we should.
Yeah, well, we also need to like kill Daddy because he's going to come back and,
Eat us.
yeah.
But it's also cited by everybody else for what they do, too. So.
Yeah. There's like, I can do it. Dad said it was okay.
Yeah, this is where a lot of our rules came from for the cam, where they're just like, yeah, we kind of quoted this bit. Mm-hmm. Not fully. There's a few rules that they were like, no, we don't have to remember those. We'll bring them up later. They're great.
Yeah, and if you're getting into more recent V5 stuff, there are specific cults that exist that are canonical to the setting, like the Church of Caine and the Servitors of Erod, that cite this text in contemporary sermons. So, that's not
cool.
concerning.
Yeah, that's not weird.
Yeah. It's not cool.
Now, would the Church of Caine
Yeah.
be in any way similar to the Cainites?
Like the Cainite heresy? Well, Cainites is just what, Sabbat-leaning vampires refer to themselves as, because they're like, we're the spawn of Cain.
I kind of assumed that that's what they called themselves when they were like followers of Cain too, not just.
The Sabbat is not as
Well, this word
structured
means-
and all that. Like have there been kindred involved in the Cainite heresy throughout all of this? Yes, but Sabbat and Cainite heresy are not necessarily analogous. They're not exactly the same thing, but there's overlap. And yeah, Cainite heresy is where the Church of Caine stuff kind of sits, and it's very do you like Catholicism? Do you want it to be more metal?
It's honestly kind of already pretty metal.
Would you want it to be even more metal? Do we want to add more spikes and more guar?
There's fire rituals.
Fuck
Yeah.
man, let's go.
We'll get more guari.
Yes. But yes, the Book of Nod is canonical. Banana. It's allowed in V5. That's one of the old world books that I'm like, yeah, if you're an ST and you just have it on your shelf, it's a good reference tool. And you could use it as a prop if you want in a game. It's fun.
Just slap that down on the table, see how everybody says.
Just like, oh no. Oh no, naughty Kool-Aid.
Yeah. And I believe we did make note of a couple of important canonical NPCs that are involved with the Book of Nod.
I think this is probably your shtick.
Yeah. So there is Dr. Aristotle de Laurent. He's a vampire that compiled and released the most quote-unquote complete copy of the Book of Nod. So he's kind of the guy that writes most of the prefaces and stuff when you get your copy of the Book of Nod. He also authored the Encyclopedia Vampirica, which was supposed to be a big list of all of the known kindred within the game setting. So if you want to get a fun list of NPCs as an ST, you can get that book. That one's fun. Even if you're just stealing them for stat blocks and just skinning them for somebody else.
Yo.
It's just good reference shit to have. This is also the adoptive sire of Beckett, the Mad Lad, everybody's favorite.
Beckett is Gangrel?
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
I didn't know that Aristotle was Gangrel.
He's not
They-
adopted, sire.
Yeah.
Adopted sire.
Yeah,
Okay,
Aristotle
pardon me, okay.
is, I believe, Malkavian.
That's what I don't think it ever says.
No,
but it
I'm
gives you
pretty sure he
hints.
is. I wrote these notes a while ago, so I'm blanking, but I'm 95% sure he's Malkavian and Gangrel is
Wait.
Beckett.
If he's Malkavian, that's probably the guy from the Eurydice fragment.
Yeah,
The
that's
Malkavian that was right.
probably.
So if in this Book of Nod, he's kind of like the Van Richten
Yeah.
of the book. It's like he's authoring and speaking in person throughout his notes when you get your copy.
Yeah, there's the sections that are his compiled segments and fragments of the old ancient text, and then he's scholarly writing some context for what he's doing, why he's doing it, and giving some historical reference notes for things that are mentioned in the book.
Okay.
So if you're a dork like me that likes reading academic papers, it's very oh, this is fun. But I'm also a dork. And then, yes, as I said, Beckett, the Mad Lad, everybody's favorite NPC, the sassy boy from Beckett's Jihad Diary.
Yeah.
His first name is Cuthbert.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Every time
Cuthbert Beckett.
I forget, and then I see it, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's got a really bad first name.
What? Wait, what's wrong with Cuthbert?
It does not roll off the tongue.
It
with
does not.
especially with Beckett
Cuthbert
after it.
Beckett.
It's a very that's a very old school cowboy name.
Yeah.
That's very 1800s name.
I would. It would be almost better if his name were Beckett Cuthbert, and Cuthbert were his last name.
Yeah.
Then you
But-
could call him Beck.
Yeah. But yes, he is the author of the Beckett's Jihad Diary. He does make a appearance in Bloodlines, the first game. We will find out about the second game whenever that drops. He's also portrayed by Matt Mercer in LA by Night and Vancouver by Night. He does a great job. It's
do.
a good time. So good job.
And then Caine.
Caine, yes.
Yep.
Bibble Caine.
Yep, the one from the Bible.
And from Raising Cane's.
Yes. Yeah. So if you know Cain and Abel's story, we're talking about that guy.
The one that hit his dude with a rock?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, that is the beginning Vladdy, the OG Vlad.
Yeah, don't forget, folks, Abel was the hunter. Cain was the gardener.
Mm-hmm.
That is also highly debated amongst vampires, though. So if you're a player or ST and someone just acts like, yeah, that's the truth, they might have a lot of people being like, well...
Yeah.
Well, this could be a blood plague. We don't fucking know, bitch.
The vampires are old enough to where a vampire scholar could argue that the character in the Bible was named after the real Cain, and believe that the Bible Cain doesn't exist. Some people could argue that he took the moniker from the Bible. There's a lot of...
Yeah, there's a lot. That's why we say there are various things. Again, remember, this is a fluff book. We're just interpreting it the way it's writ. We are not the concrete arbiters of lore. We're just helping try to parse this down.
Well, that I think specifically, though, is like a very interesting
point
in all of this, like a sticking point where like I do like the idea that, oh yeah, this Bible character was actually just named after this like wild ass vampire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think even if I remember, because I read this and then I forgot a lot of things because ADHD is a plague upon us all. I believe there's like a author's note that Aristotle puts in where he's like, Beckett doesn't believe Cain's a real guy. He thinks it's just like Gilgamesh. Like it's an archetype of a character. They're not really a person. Mm-hmm. So,
Just in case.
That's hilarious.
So it's like, yeah, like even canonically amongst the academia scholars of the vampire history, like they don't agree on things. So everything we're saying is just like, well, this is what they gave us. You can Pepe Sylvia board as much as you'd like.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I think we agreed. We're not going to get into spoilers on the Book of Nod because we want to leave that to be
your interpretation
and things you want to play with in the book. But we are going to share the commandments according to Cain. I think because they parallel so much with the 6 traditions, and we wanted to understand the
and why
basis.
And why a lot of times, like when you get into Gehenna rules, they're like, "Oh no, you've sinned." Like one, we didn't write this down in the script, but it's very interesting if you read through the Book of Nod. Cain has a big thing where the childer does inherit the sins of the father, so technically everyone after the 3rd generation has violated sin number 1, which we'll get to right now.
Thou shalt not slay thy sire and drink his heart's blood. Cain's first rule, no diablerie.
Yeah, which is why if Cain is a person who believes that children inherit their sire's sins, there's no 2nd generation. The 2nd generation got eaten by the 3rd, so everyone sinned. You're all fucked.
Is there like a statute of limitations on that for generations?
Sadly not.
No,
Not
in Cain's eyes. Again, if we went to like the decoder for like Gehenna, like literally any of the end scenarios that involve Cain, it's like, nah, you're all like, all of you are fucked. Except for I think like the Salubri who had like Humanity 10, he's like, I'll get to you after I kill everybody else.
Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe you get to live. Maybe.
Well, there was an interesting note from the book that you had pointed out that I put in where there was a quote from the angel Uriel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
because apparently Cain fucks up and then God keeps sending angels to be like, hey, if you repent and apologize for being a sinner, I'll like let you back into the garden. It'd be cool.
And every time he says, fuck off, Dad.
Fuck off, Dad. Going skateboarding.
That's one of the reasons why he has his weaknesses. And I believe Uriel, when he says fuck off, he's like, well, you don't get to die. He's like,
no,
oh yeah, big weakness.
Actually, no, that's not the one Uriel gives him.
Oh.
It says, and since they will carry their father's jealous seed, they will forever plot and fight amongst themselves. So the jihad and cycles of violence between intergenerations of vampires is because Uriel's like, you're not going to beg for forgiveness from God? Well, all your kids are going to be assholes.
You were an asshole kid? Guess what?
All your kids are gonna be assholes. Yep. Oh boy, that's a curse.
Yeah. All kindred are fated to seek out diablerie and power, which is why the beast is like, hey, you should just go do things.
Oh yeah, but he also at the end, Uriel was like, yeah, by the way, there's also a way to get out of this. Golconda, bitches.
Yeah. So Uriel the angel is like, okay, well, if your childer wish to seek out a path of enlightenment, which will be called Golconda, which is you finding a balance between humanity and your beast, they might be able to seek enlightenment and atonement and ascend into heaven, blah, blah, blah. Though it is left very much to interpretation whether it is actually you becoming a good noodle or if you just become a shark person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that'd be fun. Commandment number 2. Thou shalt hold the eldest among you as Lord, even as I, your father, the eldest is closest to me.
We're seeing those cam rolls right there, guys.
Yeah.
Whoever's oldest is in charge.
Yes.
Ooh, isn't it the Ventru who always insist that they were the first of his?
Well, that's the they say they're the first, and in again, we try not to fully get into the book. It's also when Caine did his forever nappy, he supposedly pointed to the Ventru and went, "You're in charge while Dad's asleep."
Yeah.
It's not even the oldest. He was just like, "You."
It's like, Ventru, you were chosen to be
The leaders.
the leader, and my personal advisor. You were my first grandbaby. You're in charge.
Well, they did a fucking great job.
Hell yeah.
Tell you what.
Nailed it.
They got propped up by a system that said that they were good boys and girls and everybody should listen to them flawlessly and never question them. I wonder why. Wonder why they're enforcing that system.
Commandment number 3.
Yep.
Thou shalt honor each other's house. So that's basically the domain.
Yeah, domain.
Don't be a dick when you're at somebody's house.
Yeah.
Again, as we say, this is a lot of like, the Cam used this book to have a lot of their traditions.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just kind of a good rule.
That is
I think so too.
It is a good rule.
Yeah.
Again,
Respect the space.
Wipe your feet.
the stream game, somebody forgot that for
Yeah.
like 2 seconds, and then
That's
I
okay.
reminded them.
Number 4. Thou shalt honor each other's domain. So like the land and all that. So inside the house, be chill. On the property, be chill. Respect each other's clans. All that kind of old-timey, like, hospitality bullshit.
Then the next one is, thou shalt not reveal yourself as gods to the children of Seth.
They will worship us, and we must not allow their worship.
Huh.
Yeah.
Cain clearly at least taking that one. At least that one thing being like, we should probably respect great granddad's rule of not being worshipped as gods. That's probably a bad idea.
Because there was vampires and humans chilling in the first and second city, like, together. And, yeah, there's a lot of, like, well, you have god powers. Clearly you're a god.
Yeah.
I've never heard that term before, the children of Seth.
Yeah. It basically, if I remember right, okay, I have not Bible studied in a hot minute, so I apologize. But my understanding that is there's Adam and Eve, and then they had a bunch of kids. One of them is Seth, and that is supposed to be the person that like we're all descended from, I believe.
I joked about it. It's like, we're just going to need to get a biblical scholar as a guest at some point.
Yeah,
Like,
at some
help
point.
me out, brother. We made a list.
Oh, Seth was supposedly the third child of Adam and Eve.
Oh, okay. Adam,
So that's how we get...
Cain, Abel, Seth.
Yeah, that's supposedly how we have still people being born after the murdery murder.
Yeah. Yeah, Cain murdered Abel, and then Seth is just vibing in the corner like, bro, what the fuck?
Yeah, God's just like, I see your 2 children have their warranties violated. Here's a replacement child.
I just have to comment on the fact that their naming went downhill very quickly. Like, no offense to anybody named Seth, but you got Cain, Abel, Seth.
Yeah.
It would have been like if they were like Cain, Abel, Seth, Kyle.
Yeah. It's, what progression is this, guys?
Kyle, he who punches the drywall.
Well, I was just going to comment that it is always the third child that's a favorite. So
This is true, actually.
It's really easy to be the favorite child when you're the one left alive.
Yeah. You're like, hey, mom, dad, I didn't brain either of my brothers with a rock. Can I?
Can I have a skateboard and some pizza?
well, do you drink blood?
No.
I guess.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Go fuck some wild women in the woods.
Tens of thousands of years from now, Christmas is going to be really awkward.
Oh, yeah.
This can be seen as precedent for the masquerade. There might be some nodist scholars who might look at this as a, no, we can hang out with humans. We just need not to lord over them the fact that I have really bitchin' superpowers.
Yeah.
Because, then if I become a demigod, I have responsibilities, and that's
That's just no good.
Yup.
How am I supposed to party when I have responsibilities?
How am I supposed to party when they're literally going to look at me like, oh.
Yeah.
no. Daddy's busy.
You're harshing my vibe, kids.
All right. Honor another's progeny.
No one does that.
You're supposed to.
I
If
know.
you're an
I'm just
artist.
saying nobody does
Oh, I am reading the one that I am waiting for, which is my big old like, oh, you're an artist? You better be following this fucking rule because it was a very important rule to Caine. Later. Ooh, it's my favorite. Ooh, it's my favorite.
Commandment 7, honor always your sire.
See commitment to.
I don't really do that.
Supposed to, it's reinforcing Commandment 2. I very much the George Carlin school of looking at the 10 Commandments being like, I feel like we could already knock out like 2 or 3 of these commandments.
Yeah, we can like.
We can narrow this down. Number 8. Thou shalt teach your progeny the ways of the kindred. Oh, there's so many kindred.
Hold on.
So many vampires don't do that.
Oh, never mind.
What?
I heard you say thou shan't teach your progeny. I was like, that's a dick move.
Yeah, no. You give your kids superpowers and
you
then
shall
you immediately pissed and kicked them out of the nest.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Just fucking Sparta kick him off a mountain. Just be like, you're a vampire now. Kick.
Peace.
James, I'm surprised that's not the one you're like, oh, you're an artist with all the shovel heads.
Well, they teach them after, thankfully, because normally, like the Sabbat will usually be like, okay, cool, shovelhead. Okay, we see the ones that come back. Okay, the ones that come back. All right, you're good. We can teach you.
Yeah. It's
Maybe
kind of it's blend. It's like when you're tumbling rocks, like only the good, strong, shiny ones will make it out at the end.
Bingo.
Yeah, but
there's one that's definitely one where I'm like, and it's mainly like Caine worshippers, not even Sabbat, because I'm like, I don't expect you to follow half of these, even though you say you are. You're much like a Christian. You're only paying attention to a few of those rules. You are definitely coveting your neighbor's wife, motherfucker.
I mean, she's hot.
Exactly.
Speaking of that, Commandment 9: Thou shalt not embrace love.
So, real quick, are we saying don't embrace love as the emotion, or don't embrace love like capital E embrace like it's written?
Yeah.
Like, don't be like, I love you, let's live forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say again. There's that supposed second generation elders where Caine embraced a pair of a king and a queen. He was like, "Oh, that was a bad choice."
He's like,
this does not
they're
go well.
perfect for each other. They'll be great for me to add to my repertoire of family. And they're both just like, this sucks. And they yeeted themselves from life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Also, embracing somebody that you're in love with causes a lot of really gross and creepy power dynamic problems. And just not a
fair.
good time.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't. No do.
All right, here's Hunter's time.
Yes, number 10. Thou shalt not feed of the moon beasts, the wild ones, the diseased, the insane, or the drunken.
Man, he's like the boring straight edge kid at the party.
Well, for the
edge.
I do say I like how it's in the literature that even the scholars are like, this is half like good like ethics and also like health and safety. Like the last parts of that are just like it was half a rule that was made because you don't want to fuck up the herd by like killing people that are already sick. Like you also don't want to take on the crazy ones because they can't defend themselves. Like, and also don't do the diseased ones because you might pass the disease around. Caine kind of figured that shit out to be like,
Wait, hold on. How are you going to pass the disease around, though?
Well, I mean, they didn't understand germ theory, but,
but they got if I bite this sickie and then bite this healthy and it turns into a sickie, maybe there was a reason it decided to get sick.
Yes.
Caine even was like, wait.
Well, see, their blood was tainted with miasma, and I didn't brush my fangs in between, so therefore I
see.
spread the miasma.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go for that one, but I'm still going to say, fuck off, bud, for the drunken.
Yeah. I mean, if you're too drunk, you might not be able to, like,
Keep the
register
blood in?
what's happening. Also, if you drink off of somebody who's really high and drunk, and then you're really high and drunk, and you also have superpowers.
It's a good time. I don't know
Yeah,
anything wrong with
until
this.
you are so fucking drunk and high, you wander out into the middle of a field and pass out, and then the sun comes up and...
Well, that's my bad then.
Yeah. Honestly, I think more importantly, though, it specifically calls out werewolves and changelings.
Like,
there.
don't drink fairy blood, don't drink werewolf blood.
Yeah, because bad things are going to fucking happen.
Yeah, I know fairy blood is basically it's like alcoholic ecstasy. Like, it gets you fucked up, and you have to roll for a vampire to become addicted to it in the same way that you would a blood bond. But you just blood bonded to all fairies, basically.
I gotta know. You guys think that Caine made these rules because he did that and was like,
I gotta tell them. I gotta tell the babies.
There's a lot of there's a lot of evidence in the book that he's like either seen it happen or did it and was like, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh no, because I think the werewolves also, I think you take ag damage.
Yeah, it like burns you because
the moon is like, fuck you.
Well, it's the moon. It's partially the energy of the moon, and it's getting a little off topic, but essentially, like werewolves are like nature spirits of Gaia. They are almost like pure well springs of life of the earth, and vampires are literally halfway to death. So it's kind of like in D&D where healing hurts the undead. Where if a vampire takes that, they're just like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Don't you get super fucked up on it too, though?
You do. I'm trying to remember because well, here's the thing. There is some rules about consuming lupine blood in V5. I don't remember it off the top of my head right this second. We have an episode coming up where we'll get into that.
Yeah, I think if I recall in V5, because I think I remember. 1, it does ag damage, but does give you hunger levels. And 2, I believe it also makes you do a frenzy check immediately.
That makes sense.
I think it's a frenzy check.
All right, segment on werewolf blood from the core book. Lupine blood is potent stuff and a powerful allure to kindred. A werewolf's blood is so rich that every drink from its veins slakes twice the normal amount of hunger.
Whoa.
Yeah. Draining a werewolf dry can reduce hunger to 0 for 2 vampires if they share the kill. However, the supernatural power of the werewolf blood can also be dangerous. A vampire who feasts on werewolf blood is more susceptible to frenzy. Every point of hunger slaked increases the difficulty to resist frenzy by 1. Even if the vampire successfully saves, they become paranoid and short-tempered for as long as the blood remains in their system. In some cases, vampires gain temporary compulsions from feeding on particularly volatile werewolves.
Wow.
Lupine blood mixes animal with caloric resonances, usually intensely. Alchemists prize it for its high mixability with other ingredients. It adds 2 successes to any distillation rolls for formulae.
Yep.
So it's one of those like Dad said no.
Dad said no for good reason.
And it's one of those like, cost-benefit analysis, really.
Yep.
So it no longer does damage, but it does drive you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And
makes you very angry.
Makes you spicy.
Makes you spicy.
Yes.
Yeah, but these 5 are several rules for the same thing.
Yeah, basically when we were editing this, each one of these steps was, it's like, thou shalt not do blood, thou shalt not do, and I just condensed it into 1.
Yeah, exactly. Because
you really are just channeling George Carlin on that.
Yeah, I did.
Because
just break this down.
They're very much like,
number here.
Yeah, thou shalt not make progeny against my will. If you are given leave, then choose of those of children of Adam well. Think of them as your future brother or sister.
What does that mean if you give leave?
If you are given right to make progeny.
Okay.
Yep. If somebody's like, yeah, you can make kids. You know, your eldest have given you the right to make another.
Choose wisely. Don't grab somebody who's hammered or has
or insane
lupus.
They gonna have that forever. Please don't do that. That's mean.
Yeah, because they're canonical vampires who got embraced, and they're like, yeah, I'm still blind, bitch.
Yeah, thanks. I love this.
Cool.
Thanks. That's neat.
And these kindred of Caine learned the ways of making progeny of their own, and they embraced more of Seth's kin, unthinking. And then wise Cain said, "An end to this crime. There shall be no more." You know, he was like,
He's like, hey, kids, stab it.
You're overdoing the breeding. Stop it. Stop doing the thing. Cain also mentioned ending Dieblerus in this passage. All kindred inherently all products of Dieblery due to their sire and the sins of their father, i.e., as I stated earlier, like everything past the 2nd gen is a product of Dieblery.
It's just like, y'all need to stop eating each other. It's fucked up.
Yep.
And it's
like, Uriel's up there like, told you.
I told you they were going to do that.
Told you.
You should have just asked for forgiveness.
Solot's the only one.
Was it ask for or accept forgiveness?
I think it was
I think God was trying to offer forgiveness to Cain, if I remember right. And Cain was like, no, fuck you.
No, he said ask for forgiveness because he's like, I don't need forgiveness. I've forgiven myself. Eat a dick, Dad.
Oh, I gave you this really cool sacrifice of plants, and you said it wasn't as cool as Abel's with his hunting.
So I brained Abel.
There's your sacrifice.
There you go. Better gift. Eat a dick. Yeah, and then Cain forbade siring the unworthy, siring for punishment, siring children, siring disease, insane, full of ill humors, siring other supernaturals for various reasonings, and siring for love. Compendium number 9.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, I know you also there's some of the supernaturals you just can't sire too.
Yeah.
So.
Like, you can sire a mage. The problem is, now they're not a mage.
Are you telling me I can't sire a wraith?
I don't care how much blood you pour on it. Probably not.
God damn it.
If you were somehow able to trick a wraith into
Possessing a mortal.
and then you were to vamp that mortal,
I think you would just be embracing the mortal, and the wraith would fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it eject 2 souls at that point.
One goes in, 2 come out.
This feels like a Kinder egg of a person at this point.
It's like a soul pinata.
that's just the only way I thought you could do that. But I almost feel like the wraith soul will just get consumed too, possibly as well. Just like, that's barely there anyway.
I do like that it was also mentioned that the sired amount of kindred shall never be equal to 1/3 of the human population.
So
Smart.
says Blood Daddy.
Yes.
Smart.
So that's where that math was supposedly originated from and continues on into these modern nights.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah, no, this is my favorite commandment that you can get fucking Nodus on. I love it. Thou shalt protect those who serve you. Note. Let those serve be named greatest of the children of Set and most privileged. Let us protect them for those who would hinder and hurt them. This is literally the rule that says you can't fuck with your ghouls. You are supposed to respect them. A good...
It says protect. Mm-hmm. It does not say respect. You can be a dick as long as you keep them safe.
And privileged.
And privileged.
Yeah, you gotta...
You're supposed to get them snack packies.
Yeah.
Tell them they're a good boy.
Tell them they're a good boy. Pat them on the head.
Because remember, they can
But
fucking murk you.
You can still look at them and be like, hey, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
But as long as I keep you safe, you can be my idiot.
Yeah, I had the Lasombra I donated for the NPC pool leaned into this, so he had a feeding restriction against like firemen. Because, there's like, oh, well, they serve the community and they're going to keep my house from burning down. So I should probably not fucking eat them.
Fair.
And, construction workers and a couple other, like, service kind of industry people where he's just like, no. These mortals are the ones that, like, keep my ass safe and they keep society running. So they're off my snack list.
Mm-hmm. Remember, folks, nobody's ever made a song called Fuck the Fire Department.
Yes, very true. So, yeah, you can kind of run with this in several different ways. Number 12.
To your brothers and sisters, always give hospitality. To your sires, brothers and sisters, always give the best part of your house. To your progenies, brothers and sisters, give a roof from the sun and the blood of a sheep, no more.
That has very Deuteronomy energy.
Yeah.
We can't have these 2 crops in the same field. Again, leaning into old world Mediterranean and some Middle Eastern kind of hospitality rules where it's like, well, if you're going to have people in your home, you're supposed to give certain amounts of hospitality, and how much that is dictated depends on the culture that they're in. And da-da-da-da. So, yeah, I like this as a fun, like, hey, you guys should probably work together and not be assholes. And, it also gives precedence for, like, the Ventru tradition of ethics of succor is the one I was thinking of that traces back to this, where it's like, yeah, you guys are in the same clan, you're technically on the same team, you all should work together.
Yep. And we've got the last commandment.
I am going to say one more thing on this.
Yes.
We all know that I'm very pro Zamitsu here.
Yes.
But
Really?
for as much as they don't follow Rule 11, they do a very good job following Rule 12.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this means you're very like, no. If you come into my house, you're a guest, you get 3 nights. Figure your shit out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you need more, let's talk about it.
Let's hope I like
you're
you.
a very good guest.
Yeah. Let's hope I like you and you've been very respectful of my
everything.
house.
Look, I have a very, very specific collection in this one room, and I swear to God, if you touch it and you open it, and it's just the entire like fucking RuPaul's Drag Race collection of like vodkas. There's like the pink lemonade Trixie and so on and so forth.
You think it's gonna be some weird flesh shit,
or some weird bondage
like,
kinky thing, or science thing, and you open it and it's just clack fans.
Yeah, like a flesh sex swing, and you're just like, oh,
no,
okay.
That's just
This is just China dolls.
You go.
I feel this is racist, but definitely kind of like okay.
Go into the Forbidden Office, and it's just a collection of baseball cards from the 90s.
All right, but on to
Our 13th commandment.
Yeah, never forget your sire's sire, Caine the Wanderer. Fuck around and find out.
Caine is the most important. We must never forget him, even though the Cambria tried to erase him from the historical record for centuries.
Yeah, it was a bad idea. It was just... I feel like that sin's just like, don't forget that Jaws is in the water, motherfucker.
I'm just like, what? I'm sorry, I'm splashing and having a bitchy conversation with my friend.
And then the fin comes up just...
I don't see no fin.
Yeah, no fin around here.
No.
Open the beaches. It's about to be spring break, kids.
Yeah, the book is interesting because it's like half being like, Caine is the best, and then you're reading it, and I'm just like, Caine is a dirtbag boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of shit. And then he's just like, not the best dad. He's like, I can make children. I can prove God wrong. I'm great. And then just makes these fucking psychos.
Well, don't we get a lot more of that in the Lilith book?
Yeah, which on that note, in the Book of Nod, you get a little bit of the Caine gets out of the garden because he's cursed, and then wanders around and has a sad boy moment, and then gets picked up by a hot goth mom.
Who's like, I have blood power, and it's all awesome.
Yeah, just like, and I'm not saying their relationship was healthy or that Lilith is a completely good person, but there's definitely the heat to like, I want this power, give it to me. And she's like, I don't know, bro, I don't know what's gonna do to you. It feels like a bad idea. And he's like, do it to me. And she does, and then everything goes to shit.
Yeah, she's like, do it to me. And he's like, okay, cool. I've unlocked all these superpowers. She's like, good. You should be cool with those superpowers. She's like, I want more. She's like, you really shouldn't do the blood magic stuff. Be like, I'm gonna do it.
And there's also a theory among some scholars that Caine wasn't actually a vampire until after he had drank Lilith's blood. Before that, he was just a fallen angel.
Well, they did say, again, we didn't want to do the whole book, but like, literally Caine was just a dude that was kicked out of the Garden of Eden until Lilith, because Lilith was blood magic and disciplines. And then Lilith was like, get out. I can't remember if it was Lilith was like, get out, or he was like, yeah, I've left with the power. And then the angels came by and went, all right, bro, you fucked up. Like, come on.
Yeah,
like,
there's the rough of he was wandering, and then Lilith's like, all right, I'm gonna show you how to cook and like put on pants,
and like
do the dishes, and then he's like, you got this cool magic, goth mom, can I learn that shit? And she's like, yeah, I mean, I am in this toxic relationship with you where I'm basically blood binding you to me so you don't like fucking wild out. But like, sure, I'm gonna give this fucking deranged man that I can't trust to leave my house fucking superpowers. That sounds like a great idea. What could go wrong? And then everything went wrong.
I mean, he did pose it to her like, I don't want to be a slave to you. I should know how to do these things. This is my only motivation, I promise. I want to be a strong, independent black woman who don't need no dark mother.
Yeah.
And it's like, haha, I lied.
And it's like, I got the power. I'm gonna go real fast. And
yeah, again, it is quoted in this book. Fucking Caine loves celerity.
He fast as fuck.
This reminds me of that gif of the little kid running, and the mom's like, what do you got? A knife!
Yeah!
But it's just Caine. It's like, what do you got? Blood powers!
I'm a vampire!
I want that gif. Anybody on the podcast that can edit, I want that gif. Just, I got blood powers.
Yeah, there is a whole separate book about the Dark Mother and Lilith and the Baharis, but that is a whole fucking other episode.
And that one's also expensive. That's one of the few ones that I don't have, and I do want.
I have a reprint of it.
I've
got the reprint of it, and
I want to.
it'll be bondage-tastic.
Yeah.
It's just like the Bahari, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just like bondage.
Well,
The
not so
book.
much bondage, but it's attaining enlightenment through pain and suffering.
Yeah.
Which has some merits, but then also like, yeah, but if you're inflicting pain on other people, that seems kind of fucked up.
If you're inflicting pain non-consenting on other people,
Yeah.
That was
Pretty
fucked up.
fucked up.
And then there's the Urgius.
Urgius.
The Urgius fragments, which is pretty much, it is a straight translation from Salat. Like it's a fluff version of this. It's supposed to be a more like complete Book of Nod, but it's not gone through any of the filters.
Yeah, so
like the only filters it is like the one dude who translated it from Salat and like 5 scholars in the notes that you can distinctly tell are like, one's a Lasombra, one's a Ventru, one is a Gangrel, and then one is a Malkavian. The Malkavian's probably
Aristotle.
Yeah, Aristotle.
To give a little bit more context to this, the Urgius Fragments is a companion setting book from the Dark Ages setting, from Old World stuff, that is supposed to be a companion to the Book of Nod, and it is a bunch of medieval scholars debating things from these ancient texts. And you get into the dialectics of them arguing about the validity of things, and some interesting meta plot things where if you play modern vampire and then you go into Dark Ages, you go, ha ha ha, ha, oh no.
Yeah. The thing that I love while reading through that for doing research for this episode in Gehenna is, again, we're not the arbiters of what is or isn't true, but 9 times out of 10, the Malkavian scholar, every one of his answers is what the meta plot nods its head to and says yes. Like every time he's like, by the way, Caine talked about fucking Ravnos getting destroyed by the power of the sun. Are you sure that's the sun or not like a weapon? Like,
And it's like 1200, so
Yeah.
everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you high?
Yeah, and like the Malkavians, like I think the Caine can. They might be making that could be like a bomb. They could make a bomb.
Just what if the mortals just like, hear me out, all right? What if the mortals figure out a way to harness the power of the sun into an explosion?
Gary, we really need you to take a walk, okay?
He does stuff like that with like the Dark Mother bits too, where it's just like, oh, the Dark Mother's an evil bitch. She's spiteful and angry, and it's just like, what if she just wants to vibe and she's done with Caine's bullshit?
Look, if she wants to have a hot girl summer, I don't blame her.
I mean, that's perfectly in line for a Malkavian, too. Just like,
Yeah.
he's just reading this and seeing other things, and he's just, oh no. And everyone else is just like, oh, you just get being crazy
Oh,
over
this
there.
gesture's just being quite delightful tonight. And he's just sitting there going like, no, I'm seeing stuff. Do you realize how big their hair is in the 80s?
I'm seeing the code. Also, I forgot. The other one, the 5th one, is a Giovanni.
Yeah.
Because there's a Giovanni, there's a Ventru, there's a Lasombra. It's because you can read like some of the stuff they snipe about each other.
I was mostly wondering if it was the Giovanni who wrote it or if they were dictating while fucking their cousin.
Probably
It's their sister.
They're
Get it
probably
right.
Sorry,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
right.
It's their sister for one, and it's it's the side notes. You can pick up that there are 5 distinct scholars like
Right.
doing
Yeah.
and again, Lasombra, Ventru, Giovanni, Gangrel, and Malkav.
So there is a section in the back called Words to Their Children from the Antediluvians. Want to see something really interesting that supports your theory about who actually decided how this book was written? Go back and look at the clans that are in that.
Yeah.
Interesting how it's only the Camarilla clans who have words to their children in the official Book of Nod.
Yep.
Not saying there might be some sneaky
bias.
editing over the centuries or anything like that. Nope, none
Alright.
at all.
All right, now the big eureka moment. If anybody wants spoilers off, I'm glad I did this research because I found the source of the beckoning, motherfuckers. It took me a second, but I was like, wait,
It's been
son
here
of a bitch.
the whole time.
It has, but I will read it now. This is on page 100 of the Book of Nod. On the 2nd day, Caine will return and call his children to the meeting place on the site of the first city. He will beckon them, sitting on his basalt throne.
So basalt's a dark rock, so it's a black metal throne. Well, it's stone, but metal isn't like woodly woo.
And I believe, wasn't it in the Chicago book that the Lasombra that came back talked about a stone black throne?
Yep,
Yep.
and the hungry dark, and
Again, he will beckon his children to the first city, which again, we didn't get to it. In the Book of Nod, the first city is Enoch.
it is Enoch. Where the fuck that actually is? Fertile Crescent.
Yeah, Fertile
probably,
Crescent somewhere in the Middle East. So that checks out with a lot of stuff. So we found what did it, and I'm very happy I found that because I was like, there's nothing in like Old World that was like they had it in the Gehenna plot that like shit happened, but there was no like, oh, you started to get. They had a draw, but they never called it the beckoning. And I'm like, there's got to be a source for this. There's got to be a source for this. I'm researching this episode. I was like, motherfucker, I found it. I found it.
Huzzah!
Huzzah. So things that are happening in the current canon are a continuation of the old canon. So
That's cool.
you don't have to throw away your old books. They're just plot books now as opposed to like mechanics.
Yeah.
There are already more plot than mechanics 100% of the time anyway.
Yeah.
And again, that's kind of the reason why the script started, because I wanted to do a Gehenna book, but you can't really do a Gehenna episode without first talking about all the sins and Caine that went into it beforehand.
Yeah, so this text is important for meta plot and understanding just how kindred society is set up and how different sects interact with each other, and finding portions of the ancient text are kind of like major plot points in Chronicles and even in other canonical books. Like there's a big chunk of the Beckett's Jihad Diary where somebody gives somebody a fragment of a thing, and it's like, oh god, okay.
Oh, yeah.
So, huzzah!
Who knows how much more of this book is just floating out there, too. Yeah.
That's the one that I do like about the fragments, because there are just like pages missing where they're just like, I don't know.
And then, you know, with the Cult of the Blood Gods book, now you have impetus to be like, okay, I can take this and I can weaponize this book for my machinations and games. But yeah, any further discussions on Gehenna, I think we're going to cover in the Gehenna episode. That will be soon.
Yeah, TMs. Ooh.
Yeah. And if you're interested in covering more stuff from this book, like we could do a whole episode on the Dark Mother book. We could do a whole episode just on the fragments. We could do a whole episode on just the beckoning itself.
Final thoughts on this, guys?
Quite a few for me.
Yeah, shit, go.
You could really do a lot with this in your games. This is like kind of a half personal anecdote, half baked idea. But were any of you? My dad was a big History Channel guy, like back in like the late '90s when History Channel was like interesting still.
When it was just like
Before
World War
it
II
went-
docs.
Before it went full Ancient Aliens.
Yeah, and I'm gonna look up the exact year, but do you remember when kind of aware of the world when the Dead Sea Scrolls were first like found and started getting translated?
Yep.
Because I remember there being a ton of like History Channel specials about that, and people were like shitting their pants about it. Like it was a they're discovered in 46, 47. But I guess they did like a retranslation in the 90s.
Yeah.
Is what it looks like. So hey, I learned something today too. Anyway, you could definitely drop a plot like that in your game where someone comes out and they're like, hey, I found the words to their children from the La Sombra and the Zamitzi. And just watch the city go, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Oh no.
What the fuck?
Yeah, there also wasn't any Cappadocian words in there either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, you know, the Bahari or any of the side ones.
Bahari is more of like an ideology sect, not so much a clan.
And no, but I'm saying that also didn't count to Giovanni, and they were one of the 13 originals. Like, should have been in there. Should have been in there, and they were just like, nah, we're good.
I thought the Giovanni were...
They were Cappadocians.
Well, yeah, no, so I'm saying they're not one of the original 13s. Like, Giovanni was a offspring of Cappadocian, and then
Yeah,
he
but
was
you
like,
would expect.
hey, what if I just ate them all and I was in charge?
Yeah, but shouldn't there have been words to Cappadocians in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there would have been a Cappadocian. It would have been, there should be 13, and there's only like 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 7 or 9. I'm like, I can figure it out while you're doing it. Keep going. on your
But
final
either way, like even if one of those were to turn up in your city, whether you give it to your players or not, that would be a huge potential shakeup of things. You would have a ton of powerful people coming to your city to be like, okay, let me look at this. You would have, you know, like those guys in the Camarilla who are above the princes that no one ever sees or hears from,
Like archons and stuff.
would be in town, like, swarming the place. Like, you would have the Camarilla version of, like, Secret Service everywhere.
They're losing their
like,
Potentially. And there's also, because the Camarilla is opening up more for kindred-based religions, having parts of your plot being like, okay, now we have people that don't do religion, they don't give a fuck. They think it's a bunch of horse shit. Getting into strifes now with people that are like dyed in the wool into this now, where they're like, okay, well, all the elders are gone, and this book said, you know, these people fuck off, and then, you know, just great grandpapa comes back, and he sounds really powerful, and I believe it Methuselah worship, and da-da-da-da. So now you have this whole different clash in your city where it's not just like the Anarchs versus the Cam. You have believers and non-believers and different sects of people like arguing with each other, and different cults having power structures and disagreeing based on their interpretations.
Yeah, there are only 7 words for 7 clans.
yes.
There are.
Because there's supposed to be 7 pillars of the Camarilla. There's
Uh-huh.
only 5 now.
That's why.
Whoops.
That's why I was like, I wonder who edited this.
Yeah, I wonder who decided to put these in here.
But also, like, you could also, along with what you said, Sarah, so you have, like, these established, like, older, formerly shunned kindred religions, like the Church of the Caine and that kind of thing, starting to pop up. And then people, they have a version of this, of the Book of Nod. And then someone comes to town, it's like, hey, I found the words for one of these other 6 clans. And people start reading it, and they're like, I like this. And they're like, no, this is heresy.
This is heresy against the heresy.
No. We didn't have any instruction manual for Tzimisce. No.
Cain was an angel from God who supped on the blood of Jesus to help him transcend, and therefore we are technically divine instruments of God, and I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Oh, a libertarian?
I wonder what the words of Tzimisce would be to his children. Yeah, other than just like, I own you, you're mine, hey, you're mine.
You are me and I am you, and we should just be like the same body. Get
Yeah,
over here.
come here.
We should all be society.
Well, it also kind of depends on which half of historical Tzimisce you're talking about. Because some of them were just like barons who are like, I own land, and I will sire a child and marry him off, so he will own land, and then this will be our land.
Yeah.
And they were less like...
So just communist
and the
and
old clans Tzimisce didn't even really do like the vicissitude or much like that. It was much more Caldonic stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll get into that on a different
That's
Oh
okay.
yeah, that's a long episode.
Yeah.
That's an episode John's really looking forward to.
Yes.
someday.
Someday. But, yeah.
Soon.
I like having the Book of Nod as a plot point. I have much more used it as a like spooky thing that comes from ancient times or from outside the city that comes in, and it's just like, I'm just gonna drop this here and watch everybody shit a brick.
Oh yeah, the fact you literally gave my fucking Cappadocian Harbinger of Skulls the fragments.
I gave him a fragment.
You said it was a full copy.
Oh, that copy, yes.
Yeah.
So I confused you with a different character that I had where I gave him a fragment just to be like, let's see what the fuck he does with this.
Yeah, no,
really
in my
enjoy-
occult library, you're just like, by the way, you have this. And I'm like, ugh.
You're old as fuck.
I really like the fact that he has this. We saw it as a coterie, and I don't think any of us actually knew what it was.
No.
We were just like, okay, it's a cool fucking old book, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, except for the
continue
Malkavian
on.
who was like, I want to look at that longer.
He's a nerd.
He didn't just look at it. He tried to use, like, I can't remember what it's called, but his, like, premonition seeing abilities on the
Yeah.
Book of Nod, and almost
Or
like...
no, it was the Urgency's fragments
Yeah,
that
yeah.
he had. And he was like, well, can I look into the future on this? And I'm like, as an ST, I looked at him and went, yeah, roll for it. Yeah, do it.
You want to?
You really want to?
Yeah, roll a reflex save.
If I was your ST, look at you, like, kind of like pause for a second and then smile and go, yeah, you're probably fucked.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, just like, well, the story might go in a slightly different way than we had planned. It's fine. We'll get there.
You got any final thoughts, John?
I think we covered most of them.
I was about to say.
I do like the whole like, hey, at the very least, protect the people that serve you. I think that's pretty cool. Especially because like I feel like a lot of the time I'm totally fine with people arguing the Camarilla / Ventrue style of arguing that rule where it says like protect, doesn't say I have to give a fuck about them. I just have to make sure they don't die.
Yep.
You know, and they got fancy shit. But I think that's kind of cool, and that is interesting to kind of just
Well, that's
have
also,
in your pocket there.
I will say that's also just like the bullet point of like, don't covet thy neighbor's wife, and then there's addendums on the bottom.
Yeah.
There's also addendums under there like, treat them nice, goddammit.
Yeah.
Like literally, Caine's like, they can kill you in your sleep. You should really fucking treat them nicely.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm just saying, maybe use some of these for your convictions.
Yeah, exactly.
There you
Hey, like if you're like, I need to make up a conviction, I don't know what to use. I'm like, well, depending on your character's overall moral leanings, some of these might be good inspiration for the, I believe in treating well the people who take care of me. You know,
Yeah.
seems like a good thing to do, and that doesn't necessarily even have to be like a Ventrue thing. That there's so many characters. I unfortunately play a lot of moral compass characters, so I tend to be the character that's like, I'm gonna go to bat not only for my touchstones and ghouls, I'm gonna go to bat for your fucking assholes because you need to stop hitting them. It's not gonna do anything. You fucking moron.
Yeah, I'll say there's some really interesting one too. I know, like when we talked about it on our convictions episode, but like then how and like clan rules that kind of shape like the gameplay. But some are interesting because we talked about like you hear it recommends like here's some ones if you want to do like a dark romance story. But like shit, you could write a whole fanfic just using the conviction thou shalt not embrace love.
I'm not saying that is a major plot point in Bagano Hakim I'm playing in an actual game, but you know, oops. I might be the result of that.
Whoops.
Oopsie
That was a
poodle.
mistake.
I'm used to being a mistake. It's fine. That got dark anyways.
That's okay. And I have no final thoughts because I fucking wrote this.
You did it. Good job, buddy. Proud of you.
Yeah.
Claps for Robot. What is the reward that you would prefer? Do we like go get
Money.
you- I was gonna
Where
say,
do
do we
we
get you
put
an
the
oil
cookie?
change?
Money.
Do you have a cookie?
Where do we put the cookie?
Send it to the P.O. box.
I think Limp Bizkit gave us instructions on that.
That was the nookie, I thought.
Yep, so you can take this cookie and shove it up your
Again, though, my programming keeps saying, because it was brought about by the Syndicate, money.
I don't have that.
Look into these eyes.
Thanks, Patreon.
Yes.
Yes, we do have Patreon. If you think we're cool and jazzy and you want to give us a couple of dollars, that would be neat.
Yeah, we really appreciate all the support. I believe this is the last episode that'll come out before we do our charity donation. But so we've been saving up our money from the last 2 months, and it is going to a local all options.
All Options Hoosiers Abortion Fund.
Yes, that's the full title. It's a tongue twister for the ADD boy, but
Yeah. Nailed it.
yeah, you sure did. I got 2 of the words out of what, like 12?
Got most.
Yeah, so we're working on that, but we also do polls for our patrons on what we end up doing episodes on. They get to pick the first choices that go on our clan polls that we put on Twitter. They're the ones picking what goes on to those polls.
Yes.
We do monthly movie nights.
There's options for me to do character drawings for you if you want. I have an Instagram if you want to look at the art things that I do.
Yeah, there's blood. We have a special Patreon section on the Discord where we'll sit and chat about show stuff a little bit more.
Talk about show stuff. Just listen to me existentially screech about college.
Sometimes when the mood hits me, I'll just do a movie.
Yeah.
I play video games poorly.
It's fun though.
It is a lot of fun.
I need to sit in on a night where you're playing Hades just to be like, I'm going to start giving you tips.
I don't want them.
No, he just
No,
let him
don't
figure
give
it
me
out.
Tips. I'm not a tip player. Let me fail.
I'm just going to be like,
For me.
I'm just going to be like, tell me what your fucking blue style is and I'll
No,
fucking help you.
I
I'll
don't
get to the
want
god
help.
that you need.
I don't want the help.
It'll be okay. It's okay.
I'm
It's
going to
okay.
get this motherfucker to the song.
I don't
Look,
want
if you
the
start giving them
help.
advice, he's gonna do the opposite.
Which is why I have 4 dots to manipulate. I give him the opposite advice.
I'll just stop playing the game.
It'll turn into a
That's
different
the
game.
opposite that'll happen.
We need to get Hammer to play Untitled Goose though.
Amen.
Hell yeah. Rake in the lake.
Flaunting the ability to get drunk.
We exist on Twitter at _blank_bodies. That's where we do the clan poll when that will be up. I'm not saying that we're doing the Gangrel episode soon, but you know,
It might be.
it might soon.
Much like a shark and a fin in the water. The gangrel, like an earth shark
In the dirt.
or a land shark.
I kind of going for an owl motif recently.
Again, I love the fact that my gangrel has a giant seagull. And I was like, oh yeah, you're definitely going to be a seagull. I'll be like, no, he's actually kind of a raven when he gets fucking pissed.
Seagulls are great though.
They
They're
can eat
tenacious.
cats.
They can eat cats. Yeah.
They can fit a whole cat in their damn mouth.
That's a pelican.
That's a pelican.
Yeah, it's a pelican, not a fucking seagull.
We also exist on Instagram at Blank Bodies Pod. We have some fun glitch art as well as announcements and things like that on there.
Don't forget, thanks, Paralyze.
Yes. They exist on Bandcamp. The music is sick.
Yeah.
All the cyborgs are dead. Millions of them, in fact.
Millions of them. Maybe not all, but I would say
lived,
probably the
bitch.
majority.
Yes. I also am trying to get us on TikTok started. I got slightly distracted, but
You got school. It's cool.
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine. I'll figure it out. It's fine. We also have a Discord. You can come hang out with us, Patreon or no.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if you got community stuff you want to share, we have stuff for that. If you want to workshop character things and story things, we are here for that.
Yeah, we're here. We're always here for advice and like talking. Like,
There are tons of games popping up in that server now.
Hell yeah.
We have
we just
I have
ended.
joined 2 in the past month.
Yeah, and you got into costume for one of them, which was
Yeah.
great.
It was a lot of fun.
Yay.
I had a bunch of chains. I was a rock and roll motherfucking vampire.
Hell yeah.
yeah, I also got dressed up. I bought a early 90s color blocked track suit and some silver chains.
I love that for you.
Oh my god.
That's so good.
Yeah, I'm playing a German gabber Eurobeat DJ
That's amazing. So good. That hurts, but I love it.
who is definitely German
And again,
and is definitely only a DJ.
Nailed it.
Yeah,
well, the Deadland game did just wrap.
that was fun.
Yeah.
That was
Oh
fun.
yeah, that was real fun.
Yay.
It's real fun. Yeah, we've got a few vampire games popping off currently.
So yeah, Discord. We do it. Come hang out. Goodbye.
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 I did the thing.
We'll change your oil later.
Goodbye.
Bye now.
Hurrah. We've done it. Hooray.